Hello, this is Mayor Ras J, Baraka, and thank you for tuning in to EduTalk, where we will discuss incredible topics centered around our young people, about local control, community schools, our special needs population, creating curriculum and opportunities for young people to move forward from elementary school into careers or to universities. It is the opportunity for us to discuss our young people's creativity, their imagination, their ability to move our city forward. We need them in Newark, and we need the best educated, the most well-trained, incredibly courageous and imaginative young people coming out of our school system. And this show gives us an opportunity to engage those topics. Again, thank you for watching. God bless.
Welcome to EduTalk. I'm Toni Richardson, and I'm Chief Education Officer for Mayor Baraka's Office of Comprehensive Community Education. On EduTalk, we talk about all things education in Newark, from preschool through college, even adult education. Today, we have with us two people who are very important on the education scene in Newark, New Jersey, and that's Leah Owens, and they'll tell you about themselves, and Robert Gregory. So, Ms. Owens, could you introduce yourself a little more, please?
Yes, first, Toni, if I may, thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate you asking me to come on and talk about education issues here in Newark. So again, my name is Leah Owens. I'm one of the school board members here in Newark. I'm in the middle of my 3-year term, my first term on the school board. I'm also a doctoral student at Rutgers Newark and a professor of education.
And I am Robert Gregory. I'm the Deputy Superintendent of the Newark Public Schools. I've spent my entire career here in the city of Newark, which spans over 20 years, and have worn many hats, all of which I am very proud of. I also represent a legacy of educators, as my father was a principal and teacher in Newark for 27 years.
Absolutely, and we all remember him. Absolutely,
Yes.
Carl Gregory. Cannot forget him and the contributions that he made to the Newark Public Schools. And Ms. Owens, just before we go on, Leah, you chair a particular committee on the school board. So I think it's important in light of this conversation to just say what that committee is.
Yes, absolutely. I'm the chair of the Program Instruction Committee, and this is my 2nd year in a row being the chair.
Very, very important position.
Absolutely.
Yep. So today we're going to talk about the local control issue and the Newark District strategic plan, and kind of what those two things mean in a larger context of how we move the district forward. So right now we're in the middle of the 2017-2018 school year, the halfway point for implementation of the strategic plan, the present strategic plan, which is entitled The Next 3 Years. So that plan spans a time frame that encompasses September of 2016 through June of 2019. And there were some goals in that strategic plan, and the district has clearly met one goal, and that is the goal of moving back to local control. And we're quickly approaching the day when the school board will be responsible for the Newark District and the education of its children. So I'd like today just first to talk about where we are in the implementation of the strategic plan, what it means for local control, and of course it's impossible to do a comprehensive report on, on a short show like this, but we're going to talk about some of the things that might stand out to you and to me in this discussion. So priority 1 in the strategic plan speaks to strengthening academics and student supports and within that, priority one, and within that, strategy one in priority one speaks about using a consistent district-wide approach that helps to develop students' college and career readiness skills. So I'd like to ask each of you, is there a current example that you can think of that you are in contact with or that you work with that really is successfully using that strategy?
Sure. If I can begin.
Absolutely.
I am most proud of the work we did last year as it relates to in each of our content areas, our major content areas, math, ELA, science, social studies, and the arts. We took a pedagogical stance as opposed to a curricular stance, meaning we did not lead with a curricular resource and say, hey, do whatever they tell you to do in this book, follow this script. Instead, we led with 4 best practices that we call our investments, that we are more than confident if teachers get really good at this using varied curricular resources that we have suggested, then we will be able to ensure all students experience the rigorous academic experiences that they need to gain those critical thinking skills that will make them successful beyond high school. And just to give you like a precise example, in the area of language arts literacy, we want to make sure from K to 12 that kids are reading every day, that the information that they are reading or the things that they are reading are literature and themes that they can see themselves in, things that they can relate to, i.e. things that are culturally relevant to them. And with that reading, teachers are purposely designing questions that force them to analyze the author's use of words and how it contributes to the tone, the mood, etc. I'm sitting next to 2 former English teachers, so I know you guys love this. But with that analysis, we want kids to write in response to that and then discuss what they have written. And during that period of time, teachers are expected to circulate the room and monitor what students are writing so that the conversations that occur in the classroom are actually rich. And during that monitoring period, we are actually purposely selecting certain students to juxtapose points of views to foster the healthy debate needed to hone in on your own critical thinking skills. And to operationalize this effort, what we've done is we have literally created documents that explain to our teachers and our administrators what we should expect students to do in an ELA class, what we should expect teachers to do. These are observable behaviors, and with that, we are creating exemplary videos of these practices while assisting teachers in really honing in on their ability to ask the right questions that get at the heart of this amazing thing literature does, which is tell a story of humanity and the world.
You know, I'm with you on all of this. You're right, former English teacher. Yeah. Absolutely. And it sounds like the district is moving really progressively forward in terms of teaching techniques. So it sounds great to me. Is there anything you would want to add? Or?
Well, I mean, I love listening to Deputy Superintendent Gregory speak. He's absolutely the epitome of an educator, and he and I talk on a regular basis and really, I think, represent the relationship that a high-level administrator and the school board should have in bouncing ideas off each other. So I absolutely support everything that he was just saying, and I would just add from a school board member's perspective, what we're doing in the Program and Instruction Committee most likely next month, is taking a deep dive into the curricular adoptions that have happened over the last few years, and quite frankly in some subjects that haven't happened in many, many years, so that they can align to that vision that Robert just outlined. So making sure that moving into local control, we are playing our role as a school board, looking at the adoption of curriculum and not necessarily getting in the nitty gritty day to day, but we feel comfortable with that because of educators like Robert.
Yeah, I really appreciate your comments, Leah. You know, obviously having been a former, board member, president, and all, I think it's important that the public understand what a board member really does.
Yes,
that it's not
absolutely.
just what you see at a meeting. That's simply a meeting. There's so much work that goes on, behind the scenes that really impacts what happens to children in the classroom. So, thank you, and always thank you for your work on that curriculum committee. It's really so important. So, where are we in the Newark District in the implementation of career and technical education? It's commonly known as CTE. I'm going to just lump them all together. CTE, the arts, and we know in the arts that the district aims to offer the arts for every child in every school, and social studies. And what we hear about the most in terms of social studies is implementation of the Amistad legislation, infusing the history of overlooked populations throughout the curriculum. So I'm not asking either of you to speak on all of those, but if there's a particular one that you would like to, Ms. Owens?
One I'm very excited about. So again, through the Program Instruction Committee last school year, we were able to really focus in on creating a new course about Newark's history. And basically right now it's just called Newark History course, and it's being piloted at one of our comprehensive high schools, East Side, by a teacher named Al Mosab. And he's actually, not only does he have a very specific course that he's teaching and those students signed up to take the course, but he's also integrating some of those lesson plans into the other history courses that he teaches as a way to kind of fill out the curriculum. Because next semester we anticipate 2 or maybe 3 more teachers in other high schools around the city to teach the course as well. And the thing that's like really amazing about this course is even though it has a curricular framework, it's not set in stone what each teacher has to do every day. So I think that's going to make the course very dynamic and allow each teacher in the different parts of the city to focus on history that's happening there in those neighborhoods, and for those students in particular, so they can make that connection. So I guess it's kind of like a quick plug. Through the work the students in Al Mosab's class through this semester, they're actually going to have kind of a culminating presentation on December 13th at the school. That's a Wednesday in the evening, and the students have partnered with an organization called Newest Americans, which is a project at Rutgers Newark and is housed in the Haynes building. And essentially what Newest Americans does is a digital storytelling project that takes the stories of people who come into the Ironbound to move there and why they came, what their motivations were. And so I know the students have been involved in interviewing some people in the Ironbound. And at this event called the History Harvest, there will be an opportunity for those who are attending to actually be a part of the digital storytelling and bring in artifacts that represent, the Ironbound and what it means to them. So it's going to be a really exciting event. It really shows, again, represents the culturally relevant pedagogy, puts the students in the center of the learning, and then, allow that to go from the center and allow that for them to understand from themselves why education is important.
Thank you. I'm just going to throw something in,
Sure.
Deputy Superintendent, before you respond to the first question. I hear you talking about technology and about students using technology as part of their educational experience, and I know that Sprint just donated a lot of devices to Newark, and I just think it's important that people, kind of hear that devices and technology can be actually used for education.
Right.
It's not just like for Facebook or for kids to make phone calls or go online. So, I mean, is that what we kind of see? Is that the direction that the district is moving on with use of technology by students?
Ultimately, we would love to get to a 1-to-1 ratio, but one of the things that we have wanted to secure is that all students at home, regardless of where they live, have access to technology, and that's what the Sprint partnership has enabled us to do. We also have an amazing partnership that is afforded to all students in the city of Newark through Audible. And Audible is supplying every student in Newark a device with over 150 titles on it of various literature that we read in our curriculum, but also nonfiction, which is extremely important. So we have these themes that drive the units of study. And when we think about pairing text, if we're reading something like Fences, the phenomenal play by August Wilson. We are also reading about the history of that time period, some of the dynamics the characters face in that time period, so that kids understand the story of humanity and the past, so we can learn from it and continue to grow as a people.
And that's what education really is.
That's what it's all about. One of the things I appreciate about our program and instruction chair, Leah Owens, is she holds us accountable. And I love being held accountable. As you know, history is a passion of mine. In launching American History High School, the first of its type anywhere in the state of New Jersey, and as the former director of social studies, a history of Newark course is something that I always dreamed about. So to see Leah make that happen, it presents the opportunities that lay before us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm going to ask you to, do I need to repeat the question that I cut you off on?
Not at all, because I want to go right to career and technical education, because I think it links to a larger picture as it relates to the redevelopment, revitalization of the city of Newark, the economic expansion, which is unprecedented, that we're seeing now, and the leadership of our great mayor, Ras Baraka, to make sure that happens. Part of our job as a school district is, while we are creating more opportunities for Newark residents, we have to ensure our students are ready to take advantage of those opportunities. And one of the things the mayor and I think all of this community has wrapped our heads around is multiple pathways to success. Very often when we talk about this vicious cycle of intergenerational poverty, we often see this notion of equifinality, and that is there are multiple pathways to the same negative outcome and very few pathways to positive outcomes. And so what we want to do when we look at our career and technical education courses, and this is actually something I just presented about 3 weeks ago to Leah and the program and instruction committee, we want to revamp them so that they align to the economic expansion occurring here in Newark. I'll use the port as an example. As you know, through the mayor's leadership, a certain amount of jobs are supposed to go to Newark residents at the port. And one of the things we did at a school like Malcolm X Shabazz and also at Westside High School is we are piloting a course in logistics, and we are also piloting another course in advanced manufacturing, partnering with higher ed institutions like NJIT, Rutgers, to put together the right pathway that will map kids to those jobs that the mayor has guaranteed Newark residents, give them the skills that they need to be successful. One of the biggest things we see in all cities is this whole notion of spatial mismatch, in that because of stagnant educational outcomes, kids often have, or Newark residents or residents throughout the country in inner cities often have to travel miles just to find jobs, because a lot of low-skilled jobs have been moved to the suburbs, right? And cities are now becoming epicenters of corporations, et cetera. So we want to make sure our kids are prepared for careers in those corporations that are opening up right here in their backyard.
Thank you. And I think, you know, at a later date, we're going to get back to that with a lot more specificity, because this is exciting.
It very much
very
is.
exciting.
Very excited.
Thank you. So we're going to move now to the next question, and that speaks to the strategic plan again, priority 3. It speaks to engaging the community. Hotbed issue in a lot of ways, but one that we have to deal with. And it includes within that priority 3, strategy 3, says that the district will inform and engage families and community members. So where is the district doing well in informing and engaging families and community members? And if not well, better than in the past? And where's there room for improvement?
Well, that question makes me think of being a member of the Community Engagement Committee last year, last school year, which essentially was brought back under your leadership as chair of the board, and it was something that we talked about. We wanted to make sure that we had an explicit vehicle in order to realize that priority. And in that committee, I mean, we talked about numerous topics, but one thing that we talked about month after month was community engagement specialist. So this is a position in the district that was kind of recreated in the last few years, because we've always, well, for a long time through the Abbott legacy, we've had parent liaison positions. Right. And so that basically got revamped into this community engagement specialist position, because I think the district and the board understood that it was about more than just engaging parents and making sure we're supporting parents, but also engaging the larger community and creating those partnerships, because there's a lot of nonprofits in Newark and around Newark who want to provide services for families, and the school district has families that need services. So as a member of the community engagement committee, we talked a lot about making sure that every single school had a community engagement specialist, because at a certain point in time that was optional for a principal, and we pushed very hard as a committee to make it not an option, because any school can always benefit from partnerships with the larger community and to bring in services for families that are enrolled at that school. So I'm very proud as a board member to say that that was something that I fought for along with my board colleagues to make sure it's happened. And I know just recently we just hired about 1 or 2 more community engagement specialists. And there's rarely ever a time where we have a vacancy, or at least not for a very long time. So I'm definitely excited about that to help push the work forward.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I want to focus on areas that I think we can definitely get better at. And again, it's very challenging for parents who are working and have a tremendous amount of responsibilities to get to events at schools. So we have to take advantage of modern technology. If you go on our website now, it has been enhanced tremendously so that parents have access to all the vital information they need to know about their child's school, what their child is experiencing. But what I would like to see, and one of the things I appreciate most about shows like the one you're hosting right now, is us taking advantage of television, us taking advantage of social media, us taking advantage of the internet and offering webcasts to parents, things like that. How do we ensure that there are multiple modes of communication for our families who are overworked, who have so many responsibilities and are dealing with this thing called life, right? So that they are vital partners in their child's education.
I think that's so important, because there is sometimes an assumption that parents don't care because they don't come, and there's so many reasons that parents don't come, and the least of it is not caring. So that's probably not.
And I really appreciate you saying that, because in the 20 years that I've been in this city, yes, you have a very, 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 very small minority that we might say don't care. But every parent that I have engaged with cares a lot about their child's future, and we cannot ignore them, and we have to address some of their needs.
Absolutely. And we have to meet people where they are and find out what they need, and you know, you can't just like tell people things. You actually have to listen to people and find out what's on their mind. So all of this sounds like we're moving in the right direction. So I forgot to do something. We have something on this show called Fun Facts, and I was supposed to ask a question that would be answered later in the show. So I'm going to ask it now and answer it again in a minute. So the fun fact question for today is, what was the title of the strategic plan that preceded the present strategic plan? You can't answer it. The present strategic plan is called the next 3 years. What was the name of the strategic plan before that one? I'll answer in a minute. So, now, quickly, what is your vision for the next strategic plan for the Newark Public Schools? That means looking at the district now, if there was one thing that you would say that we need to focus on in the next strategic plan, what might that be, quickly?
Yeah, so one of the things I kind of want to caution the community around is trying to do too much in a short period of time. Our strategic plan is very dense, and it has in it work that I feel takes more than 3 years to actually realize and accomplish. And so I think it's a matter of not abandoning where we are at. I think it's about enhancing where we are at, doubling down on areas through honest feedback. And when I say feedback, feedback from students, feedback from teachers, feedback from parents, feedback from community members that inform us of what we have done well and what we really need to enhance over the course of the next 3 years at the expiration of this one. So I think consistency is very important, and just simply not throwing something away and saying, oh, we have a new superintendent, let's do something very, very different. It's one vision, and that vision is how do we improve the educational outcomes of all Newark residents.
And I would just add off of your last comment, in the next 6 or 7 months, Newark Public Schools will have a new superintendent that the school board will play an integral role in choosing. So moving forward is going to look vastly different than what it has looked like under state control. So additionally, I think it's an opportunity since, as you pointed out, this current plan called the 3-year plan goes until June of 2019. So in any planning phase, there should always be time put in to reflect, as Robert was saying. And I think this is an opportunity for this new superintendent who's coming in to really be on that end of reflection so that we're creating a new plan moving forward under her or his leadership. But I guess a lot of issues are important, but definitely curriculum, pedagogy, again, culturally relevant pedagogy. I think doubling down on that and getting more teachers invested in what that means. Again, just remembering from when I was a teacher in the Newark Public School District, the best professional development, hands down, that I ever participated in was one in which all of the teachers were actually the presenters. And I was one of the presenters, and yes, our group did a great job. But in general, it was just a great opportunity to learn from each other, and I think the district needs to move back in that direction and really take advantage of the talent that we have in Newark Public Schools.
Okay, thank you. So what I hear, I'm hearing that there are some great things that are happening now that have happened in the past, and we don't need to throw all of those things away as we move forward. And I know the Community Schools Initiative is one that's actually embedded in the current strategic plan that is, at an early stage that we need to focus on, and that we need to make sure that we improve it and make it work as we go along.
That's right.
So now I'm going to before I forget, I'm going to give the answer to our fun fact. And our
Can I answer?
I was going to ask.
Okay.
Wait, let's answer together. One,
wait a minute, let me restate the question.
I'm sorry.
What is the title or name of the strategic plan that preceded the current strategic plan entitled The Next 3 Years? The one before that was named
Great Expectations.
Great Expectations. Thank you.
Thank you.
That is the correct answer. I know some of you out there knew that. So I just want to thank everyone for joining us for EduTalk, and please stay tuned. We hope you enjoyed, we hope you learned, and stay tuned for the next show. Thank you.